Defining your criteria. Our final step is all about tying everything together into a few key points that will serve as your measuring stick moving forward if you want to design your garden. The aim from making a short list of criteria for an idea or a specific activity, feature or area of your backyard is to give yourself some guidelines to work with when it comes to creating that space. Developing criteria is essentially a tick-the-box approach that is very helpful for letting you know when a design for a space is finished. For those who don't know how design works, basically you receive a brief, work on different ideas until time runs out, then submit a few options to the client for them to choose, and you refine from there, as shown in these very rough sketches exploring ideas for a design of mine. Given you will most likely be the client if you are doing your own design, it's very easy to just keep going down a rabbit hole as you explore and test and change more ideas. By having guidelines or criteria you need to fulfill before you finish the space, you give yourself a way to test if a space is complete. If you haven't ticked all the boxes, you need to work more on the design until you do. On the other hand, if you have ticked all the boxes and you think the space works quite well, then you can leave it for now, comfortable in the knowledge that you followed all the rules you set for yourself and the space should work the way you want it to, based on the image or images and ideas you unpacked earlier on. So as you can see on this cheat sheet, I've provided an example of my criteria for my feature wall based off my selected image. There is space on the right for you to do the same for your image. Let's have a look through my points to give you a better idea of how I came to those conclusions based on the previous steps I took and how you can do the same. I've summarized all my work down to 3 key criteria. Feature wall. I want squares about 50 to 80 centimeters with slight variations in color and texture. I like the current size of the squares. Too big and there's not enough variety. Too small and it's hard to see the differences. Squares also fit together very easily compared to other shapes like circles, and are the most common shape for any material options like stone or even timber slats. So for me, the shape and size of the squares is really a must. Flexible material options. As I said, I like the grass, but it's not a must. I'd prefer softer surfaces like grass if they were close to children's areas for that sense of touch and play. Near higher traffic areas or places that are exposed to high winds, rain or sun, I'd prefer timber or stone as they'll probably fare better with extremes. Both stone and timber bring variability in colour, texture and orientation, which is the direction you lay the material, up, down, left, right or diagonal, similar to the grass. If I want to have less maintenance, stone or timber would be a better option in the long term. So grass at this stage is a maybe for me. My third point is quite straightforward. It has to be visible from the house, or at least a window or room that is commonly used. Creating a wall like this with any material will be more expensive than a basic wall. If I'm spending more money on a wall with this style and pattern, I want to enjoy it and use it as a feature as often as possible. For me, this is a must, and means when I work through my designs later on, if I place a wall in a suitable location, I can use this as a guide or criteria for how that wall may look. Use the right side of the page to write out your own criteria for your image, focusing on keeping them flexible. Don't worry about dimensions and specific materials, appliances or furniture as much just yet. Look at what they do for the space in the image and work out how you can replicate the really good aspects in your garden without pigeonholing yourself into one option. Once you've gone through and developed some criteria, you now have the skills and understanding to apply it to another feature, activity or area you want in your backyard garden. So pick another item on your list from step 1, get onto Google and keep your eyes peeled for other interesting ideas or images you may want to explore in your garden. Once you've done this a few times manually, you will get better at working through the steps in your head, asking yourself to define what you like, confirming it by changing things up, and developing a simple, flexible list for each and every idea you find. And once you have criteria for a whole host of activities or areas in your garden, you'll be in a much better position to either do your own whole design, which I recommend, or even begin working on one area, using the criteria to help put it together before moving on to other sections down the track. I hope this method will help you discover what you want your backyard garden to be, help you find some great inspiration, and generate some really good flexible concepts you can apply to your backyard garden to create a space that really reflects you and your family. Remember to print out and use the cheat sheets for each video, and in no time, you'll have a great list of concepts you can explore and test in your own garden designs.